Baxter. We're doing an interview with him. What is sugaring to you?
The sugaring, I mean, I anticipate it as the season starts nearing in February, and you know, it's the whole package of it's just been a historical thing in my life, and that's become even more so being here and to have the opportunity and the privilege to be able to teach the children of Fairfield sugaring in our own sugar house here, and experience them, you know, that the whole process of preparing and creating a product that's so, you know, historically in our area of the country, Vermont, one of the leading producers in the world, and that, you know, it's such a sweet product to end up tasting at the end of it, where it's, you know, brings back memories for me from a childhood at your age all the way, you know, to adulthood. So it's basically, it's deeply rooted in our culture. I kind of enjoy all aspects of it.
Okay. What is the hardest part of boiling?
Well, with us here, it's because we're teaching it. So it's basically sometimes it's trying to, we've got a smaller rig and keeping the consistent heat to be able to get the 219, 220 degrees, like we would try to have a little backup when I'm drawing off extra syrup. So it takes a lot being on top of who's doing what at different times. We may do multiple things. We may be at one point, the first boilings, of course, take longer to get syrup for that fresh sap.
Okay, stop.
Well, we have a holding tank that we pumped our sap into from our from when we picked our sap up, and pump it up there. And then, of course, when we're ready to boil, we've gotten our fire started or filled our rig up where the designated level that we are going to be boiling at that particular day. The sweeter the sap, I'll increase the depth a little bit, not a lot, but just enough to, so, and then of course as it starts to get a boil, the sap is gravity fed into the float valve box back here, and it enters through the lower part of the back section through the box, and at the same rate as evaporation takes place. That way it keeps that sap nice and level throughout the whole rig, and as it gets heavier through the different chambers, it and pre-boils through the drop fluids back here through the gases and smoke of the fire, and then as it gets heavier, it's pushing the sap through and out of this particular pipe here into the draw-off box, which we can boil and draw off from either two sections of these different chambers, this one here or this particular one there. And as it goes through and it gets heavier and heavier, and the kids will be learning to, you know, what's going on with it, and then to test it with the different things they like to play around with it, with how the sheeting goes as it gets heavier and you dip it up, as you know how they used to do it before they didn't have a hydrometer or a thermometer. So now though and then as it gets to that point where they know they're looking at the thermometer down here, and when it gets to 219 degrees, we'll let it get to 220, and then they will draw off a little bit through where we put it. Oh yeah. We were washing it, and they're going to test it with the hydrometer, and it'll be, when we draw it off, if it's at that red level flush with the syrup, then we know we got the finished product, and then they're going to draw off until it's you know, even with that, with the amount that I drew off in a bucket. Say if we drew off 2 gallons, that whole 2 gallons has got to measure right there on that mark. And then we run it into just a very simple filtering with Phelps system in here, and they're going to basically be these particular Phelps like this, and then it inserts and the syrup just catches all the niter and anything else that's going. And because you can get a little of everything get in there. And then after that, they're going to draw out of here and put it into the canner. And they're going to heat it up to 218 degrees, and their kids are going to bottle it up. And they got their finished product.
Did you know that sap boils 7.5 degrees over the boiling point of water? And if there's two different saps buckets on the same day and you boil them both at different times, there would be different grades, and that even though they have the same sweetness. How cool is that? It's the same syrup, but different grades in different.
This is the last syrup that we canned up this year. It got darker and the flavor got a bit more, I would say a little more bitter, bold tasting. Trees were starting to change on us, especially with our big sugar maple trees, and so it wasn't quite the nice smooth taste of some of the lighter things, syrup that we boiled throughout the season. We had a lot of light syrup this year, a lot of fancy we made, and then we got into some light A's, and actually this is categorizing in as a dark A, but it's still in the category, or A or amber rich, as we call it nowadays. The new international grading system. Golden delicate, which is the very light stuff, and they wanted words in there that describe a little bit of a flavoring. So like our old system didn't do that. So you got delicate, gold with a golden tint, amber with a richer tasting, which I enjoy on a lot of our. And then the dark robust, which you usually use finding it with more of the cooking and processing and other put in the flavoring.
What do you think is the best type of maple syrup grade?
This year?
Yes.
This year we made the Golden Delicate. I think is I have never tasted Golden Delicate any better in my entire life. What we made this year.